Good afternoon everyone and welcome to another shed session. Today we're in Paul Charlesworth's shed. Paul's a speed car driver here from Tasmania and also drove in a few places around Australia as well. So we thought we'd pop in down here today and have a bit of a shed session with him. Now this might be a bit wild because we had a big night on the drink last night, didn't we, Paul?
Thanks to you, Jamie.
We did. We got round a few mates last night, his birthday, and we had a bit of a wild night. So this could be a very interesting shed session, but we'll give it a crack and see how we go. Anyway, Paul, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Where did we grow up, mate?
Well, I grew up here in Tassie.
Yep.
And basically, up until I was probably 13, moved to Cairns with my mum and dad, and sort of came back and lived with my grandparents for the remainder of high school. And yeah, I sort of left, I think 15, went to the Northern Territory, and yeah, I sort of spent the next 5 years there.
Yep.
And yeah, that's where I first discovered racing speedway.
And what did we originally start racing with to begin with?
Formula 500s.
Yep.
I met a guy up there by the name of Clive Baxter, and he's paraplegic, and I was pretty lucky that he took me under his wing.
Yep.
And yeah, like he introduced me to a guy who I actually got my first race car, and he let me pay it off for that season, and I rode it off that season, and then I was lucky enough to buy Clive's car off him after that. And yeah, like that was sort of my stepstone into, you know, sort of getting up there and getting amongst it. Mm-hmm. I was lucky enough to have a couple of drivers of speed cars and a couple of drivers of sprint cars, which was good. And as a young kid, you know, it was, yeah, like, especially being in Tasmania,
yep,
up in Darwin, it was, yeah, it was pretty exciting.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Darwin track's a lot different up there to what our tracks are, I would presume.
Yeah, well, I was in Darwin last year and I watched the chariots and I was a bit shocked because, like, it had massive amounts of banking.
Yep, yep.
And, yeah, when I drove on it, like, from the pictures up there, it was fairly flat.
Yep.
So, yeah, and I mean, obviously coming here to Tassie, I mean, my first races were last year in the midget, which was a bit of an eye-opener.
A bit of a learning year, wasn't it?
It was, yeah, it was. It was a bit unexpected. I probably underestimated the car a bit.
Yep.
And, yeah, it taught me a bit of a lesson.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, if you don't show them that respect, they will bite you.
Yeah, yeah. They definitely will bite you. There's no doubt about it. So what originally got you interested in speedway, Paul?
Well, originally years ago, my dad took me to Richmond Speedway, and I first seen Jan Francis running the modified sprint
that's
cars.
back in the day?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Because there was Jan and the husband, what was husband's name? Albie, that's right, and they both raced together for a long time, didn't they?
Yeah.
Grand Nationals.
Yes, the bowls and stuff like that. Yeah. And then Jan, obviously, I think she was sort of dominated a bit more after that.
Oh, she used to match it with the best, didn't she?
Oh, yeah, she was a legend.
Like Chaz Kelly and Jean Cook and Denzel Mead and Sess Henricks. Like, she was always up there with them. And,
yeah.
I'm not 100% sure on this, don't hold me to this, but I think she's the one that put female racing on the Tasmanian map. In my book.
Yeah.
Originally back in the day.
Yeah.
And she was such a great driver, I thought.
Yeah, and she was a good lady, you know. Like at the end of the day, she was good looking too, which, you know, also helps. You know,
I can't remember the looks. I can sort of vaguely remember the dark hair.
Yeah.
But
I think she was blonde, actually.
Blonde, was she?
Yeah,
I thought she had dark hair.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, there you go. It might be just been the old school movies that I watch.
Yeah. But yeah, and then obviously out here, obviously the Bridgewater, the original one, which I think was out at Cove Hill, which had the figure 8 track from memory, because I was only a whippersnapper back then.
Yeah.
And yeah, like that was my first introduction, and like I loved it, you know.
Yeah.
My mum and dad didn't really go much on it, so I tried to get any possible way I could get to the speedway down here. Whether it was, you know, sneak into the back of a boat or jump over the creek or
I think we've all done that over the time, haven't we?
Yeah. Well, I actually worked with a guy called Bernie Russell, which a lot of people will know. Like he used to rock around on the postie bike. And, he was a cool character.
Yeah, excellent. So you race speed cars now.
Yes.
Of all the divisions you've raced.
Yep.
Why speed car?
Because of just because of how hard they are to drive. I mean, I like sprint cars. I've grown up liking sprint cars, but as far as driving them, I just think the non-winged division are a lot more challenging.
Yeah.
And you know, I had an opportunity to drive Tony's car last year before I brought this car. I probably, after driving that, got a bit confident, thinking, you know, this will be the same. But yeah, I was definitely
very different.
Yeah, very different.
I remember last year, I haven't had a lot to do with speed cars either until they sort of come first to Tassie. And last year I did some work with you blokes, and I put some GoPros, one on Nick Parker and one on Luke Redpath's car, and it was a 360. And when I went home and watched the footage, it's some of the best footage I've ever seen in motorsport from GoPros, because not just because they were wheel standing out of corners and throwing them in so hard, they were just dicing and rubbing and bumping and you know, and it was just such great to watch. You know, like, it was just absolutely unbelievable to watch. We just need a few more numbers out there, don't we?
Yeah, unfortunately, you know, we've got some cars in the state that unfortunately are sitting in sheds. Yeah. That's a shame. Yeah. You know, because obviously while they're sitting in sheds, they're not on the track. Yep. And you know, like I know most people want more races, but if we don't get the cars on the track, we're not going to get the races. You've got to obviously, you know, help the promoters. You know, and I mean, they obviously got a tough job as it is. Yeah. So you know, like it's, and especially in Tassie, we've got a lot of divisions. Yeah. And we have, you know, and you don't want to take nothing away from any division.
Definitely not. But I look at it too as though back years ago when the wingless first came in. Yep. We only had 5 or 6 then, you know, and now you look at their numbers, they're pushing I think 20 odd cars in Tasmania, if not more. Yes. So I reckon these will go the same direction.
Well, I hope so. Yeah, because I've spoken with young Luke Wilson, and his dad Tim has come over and like he's been an awesome guy. You know, he's come over and said, hey, you know, try this and try that. And, you know, like to sort of have them come over and be a part of it and have a look at it. Yep. Like I said to them, come and have a try. Yeah. You know, and obviously I've got a bit of a plan this year where I want to put a young guy in my car. Yep. Yep. And that's basically what my car's about. I did buy it for that. Like I was sponsoring Brock. Webster, which you know, he's a legendary
guy. He's a gun driver, absolute gun driver.
And look, he's a great guy. You know?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Always got a conversation with Brock and heaps of time with him. He's a great young kid.
And you know, he loves it. You know, you try and talk to him on the night, and you just see the focus in him.
And his dad, Kim, he is one
passionate.
That's the word I'm thinking of.
Very passionate.
Or trying to think of. Very passionate motorsport person.
Yeah. Well, that's actually, talking about Brock and Kim, that's how I actually got back into speed cars here. I was on a website and I'm going through it, and then I seen this midget up there, and it was a beautiful looking car. I made a comment on it and realised, you know, it was Kim Webster. Yep. And you know, and then I sort of looked him up on his page and thought, oh shit, you know, this guy's in you know, Hobart or Tassie. Yep. So I sort of sent him a message and like, I mean, I think I sponsored him for a couple of years before I even met him. Yep. And I met him on the title night, which he won, which was good for me to be a part of that. And I took Kim to Darwin last year, and Kim and myself stayed with Clive. Yep. And like that was the...
And Clive's a big name in Northern Territory, if not Australia, isn't he? He's a legend of the sport.
Oh, yeah. And
not that I've ever met him, but I've heard some stories from you and what I've seen on YouTube and other people, and he's definitely a legend of the sport.
Oh yes, he made the Hall of Fame. Yeah. And not only that, like one of the things I loved about Clive was that he was an inspiration for me, and to watch a guy in a wheelchair who can do anything, that was something that I looked at and thought, you know what,
I would love to go to Northern Territory.
Well,
and we are going to, aren't we?
Yeah.
We've been talking about it for a while. Yeah. We was going to do it this year, but a few things have happened that we sort of had to put it off. Yeah. So we're going to give it a crack next year, and we're going to try and get up there and talk to these blokes and have a big shed session with them, which I can't wait, because it's going to be absolutely brilliant. Yeah. I'll have to lift my game a bit, I reckon.
No, but anyway, it'll be all right.
I can't wait to do that. So but he's a big name. He's done a lot.
Yes. And he also did a lot for people, you know, young people who, you know, if they had an accident and were in a wheelchair, he would have them at the workshop and things like that. Yep. And, you know, he played basketball, wheelchair basketball. Like, he was just, Unfortunately, his partner died last year, Chantal.
Oh, that's no good.
Which she was a big part of my life, and I know at the end of this we're going to talk a bit about mental health, and yeah, like for me, Chantel was a lady who gave me a stepping stone to get out of what I was going through.
Yep.
And yeah, I was just lucky enough that I had the opportunity to spend that time with her before she passed.
Yep. No, that's cool. So what sort of car have we got here? What brand are we, Paul?
We've got a New Zealand built Aggressor,
Yep.
which is built by BSL out of New Zealand. Nick Parker actually ran the car.
Yep.
The car came to Tassie, and I think it got, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it got a 10 lap record, 15 lap record, something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, he done all right in the car. One of the reasons why I brought the car is because of its history. And not only that, like Nick himself, like if you look at Nick's background through motorsport, like that guy's exceptional.
Yeah, well, I've just watched a YouTube video. I didn't realise he raced circuit racing as well, and I just watched a YouTube video of him in the wet, and he can definitely wheel the young fella, can't he?
Oh, he can, and obviously being involved with the Parkers, for me, it's been really good to have that calibre of car and obviously pull it apart, look at it.
Yeah.
And see, everything that's all, the internals, and, to go, you know what, I've done it right, And, I can't thank those guys. David, Nick, thank you very much.
Yeah, they are good blokes. When we had the state title here and I was doing work with his, Nick went out of his way, to help me out. Oh, can we put a GoPro on there? And it was like great to work with a good team and professional team. And they look good. They're out there to help anyone.
Yes.
Like they were over helping you blokes.
Yes.
Because you had trouble on the state title night.
Yeah.
But anyway, we won't talk about that just at the moment. But anyway, we had a few little stuff ups that night, didn't you?
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll put that down to rookie error and we won't do that again. But anyway.
No, I'll definitely be making sure the fuel filter is right.
Yeah, the fuel filter has to go a certain way around. But anyway, we learned that. You definitely learned that night.
Cost me a bloody spot too.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. And
I was hoping to get some good footage of that night.
Yeah, I was too.
I only got it rolling around. But anyway, this year's going to be better for you, man.
It is.
What's your favourite division you've raced?
I have to say speed cars.
Yep.
I mean, as much as with the Formula 500s, I love that, and obviously competing with Clyde, and and the likes of the Bowies and Vince Chapman when those guys came to Darwin. Speed cars, I'd have to say speed cars because it's just the ferociousness of them, and I mean, I was lucky in Darwin because I had the likes of Warren Eakins, Bobby Holt, who if people don't know who Bob Holt is, he's synonymous really, and Warren. And I mean, to sort of be around those guys like Robbie Armstead, my old boss's father, like Dean Gibbets, Dad, Peter Kittle, there was some
Some
really
big
good
names there.
Yeah, some really
definitely
good,
big names. Yeah.
Good ranking guys there, and to grow up around them. For me, I don't think you can get any better than that.
No, you can't.
No,
that's it. I mean, I grew up with blokes around Speedway, the blokes like Les Redpath, and Robin Best and the Turner boys and Tony Smith. And mate, the drivers back then are a very different driver to what they are now.
Yeah.
And what I've noticed over the last probably 30 years of Speedway, back when we were young, it was not an old man's sport, but it was a middle-aged to the older man sort of sport. You didn't see young fellas racing sprint cars.
No.
Not very often at all. Well, now it's just completely reversed.
Yeah.
Like the young fellas have just got big set of kahunas. And blokes like Lockie McCune.
Yes.
Absolute gunner on the track, Jamie Veal, Jock Goodyer. I'm missing someone, but anyway, there's so many.
Matt Eagle.
Young Dumpsey.
Yes, put it this way, one of my biggest fans growing up was Max.
Yeah.
He's a
legend.
And I idolised the man. I had the opportunity to meet him a few times and whatnot, and to see his boys, like his wife, Melinda, like her father was also, a great, sprint car driver too.
Yep.
I mean, for me, like when Brock came down here last week, I showed him some stuff and that, which I think blew him out a little bit because, I'm showing him stuff that he probably wasn't quite born.
Yep.
Where I'm talking names, like Terry King, like the Mans, like Pilgrims, Mike Figlamini, You know, like, I mean, the list goes on. You know, like Wayne Pearce, you know, like Andy's dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like, yeah, there's especially with what is racing today with young guys in speed cars,
And
their dads were there.
Yeah, that's it. And honestly, if you've never seen Gary Rush race, you missed out.
Yeah, and that's
him
true.
and Max.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, they back then they were the two biggest names in sprint car racing.
And Gary Brazier.
Oh, Gary Brazier.
Yeah.
Yeah, forgot about Gary.
Especially,
Sorry, Gary, if you're watching.
Yeah, especially his dad. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had the opportunity to be in Darwin for the '97 Australian Sprint Car title. Met Brett Lacey. I met Rushy.
Oh, there's another name, Brett
Yes,
Lacey.
yeah.
You know?
Brett Lacey. Yes.
Oh, you can't. You could sit here for ages reeling names off, couldn't you?
Yes.
Like, there's just been so many big names.
Yeah, and then you talk about Brett's dad, Nipper,
Yep.
who, you know, like as a kid, you know, like for me, they were guys that I looked at. Like,
Yep.
I've got a book over there that I showed Brock, that the first Speedway book that I ever brought was in 1984, and it's still in mint condition. And I used to take to school every day, you know, I'd be like reading it. That's where I first had my first sprint car for, I think it was $6,000, you know, but looking at it thinking, oh yeah, $6,000 I'll buy a sprint car, but yeah, it wasn't quite.
Too early. Favourite event?
I'd have to say the Grand Annual Sprint Car Classic.
Yep.
Yeah, and after going to the Chariots of Thunder, I'd definitely rate that.
Yeah, I've got to go Chariots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the things I love about Darwin is that when I first went there, a population of 75,000 people. When I went back there last year, it's grown. And, you know, like the complex out there is just amazing.
Oh, Hidden Valley's a great complex. You know, Chariots of Thunder that was on for 2 weekends in a row over there, excuse me, up there, they had Gazanats on as well.
Yes.
And it was great to see sprint cars going around the speedway and the smoke from the burnout cars coming across the track.
Yeah.
It wasn't interfering with any of the racing, but it just looked a good spectacle.
Yeah.
And, you know, you could hear the burnout cars in the distance. And I just think that's great.
Yeah.
You know, to have 2 big events like that in the one time.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's a one complex.
It doesn't happen in Australia very often.
No.
You know, like you've either got an F1 or a Bathurst.
Yep.
You know, they're the 2 biggest sporting events in Australia, really, apart from when you go to Speedway or anything like that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't like Speedway.
Yes. No.
Which is a shame because it's
Yeah.
not an easy sport.
No.
A lot of people think it is easy,
Yeah.
and it's not. I know that from personal experience.
Yeah.
People that have never drove one never ever get that true feeling of what it's like to actually turn left
Yes.
at 100. You know.
Yeah.
I actually found the scariest thing I've ever done when I've drove them is coming onto the track and going into turn 1 full bore and hoping you're going to come out the other side.
That's the thing, and you've got to be so confident in that car sticking, and that's, you know, like if you don't get the setup right in these things, it's gone.
You're
you know,
in the wall.
and
you're up and over, and then you got big dogs.
Yeah, and then, you know, if your arse lighting up, I mean, you've got to be back on the gas to come off, and if you don't. Like me, I didn't get the opportunity to have a practice run in it, so yeah, my first run out there, I clipped the wall, and which I just thought, shit, you know, like that's how will happen too quick.
Yep.
And yeah, that probably toned me down a little bit and just sort of said, hey, just get the feel for it.
Yeah, that's it. That's what you got to do. You just got to get the feel and then go out there and slowly work it up.
Yeah. And look, the sad part too, like I say, people don't like Speedway. I beg anyone who, because I love motorsport, it doesn't matter whether it's barstool racing, whatever, like, you
if
know.
it's got a motor, I'm there.
Yeah, and look, you know, look, last night, you know, I mean, I met some awesome people that were burnout guys, you know, and at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, like, I love burnouts, you know, like I was doing it when I was a kid, you know, and at the end of the day, I'd love to put a burnout guy in my car.
Yeah, so I only started getting involved with the burnout boys probably 6-7 years, I reckon.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it.
Well,
you know, like they're a different. You've got your speedway people and you've got your burnout people, and you'd think, oh yeah, they'd be pretty similar sort of crowds, but they're not. They are completely different crowds. Yeah. And I think the burnout crowds are very. A lot of people think the worst of them.
Yes.
They think it's more of a bogan sport.
Yeah.
And it is sort of a little bit, But now it's more of a professional
Yeah.
sport in Australia, and it is. Like, there's so many big blown cars in Australia.
Yeah.
And they're spending $150,000 on cars.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
my God.
Yeah, well,
You know, you just bought an old beat up VY flat tray ute and just spent $150,000 on it, man. Who does that?
Yeah.
Or who does? A true motorsport
Sport
man
enthusiast.
who wants to be in around motorsport.
Yeah.
You know,
And talking to the guys last night, you know, like, and a lot of them they hadn't met before, and asking them, you know, like, what's your passion? Like, tell me, talk to me about it, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, to listen and hear it in them, that's what I love, you know, and for me, that's what it's about. Like,
if you can go out and open your shed up every morning
Yeah.
and have a smile on your face
Right.
as soon as you open that shed, you know you're doing something right.
Yeah. Well, once again, you know, like, we'll get to that with mental health too, because...
And you've got everything in here. Great little shed.
yeah,
So,
it's
you
getting
know,
there. Yeah.
You've got to smile every time you walk in here.
Yeah, all I do, actually, because that's it. Yeah, I do. You know.
No, it's good. It's good, man. It's honestly good to see you in the sport, and you're doing a good job with the sport, I think, and we can only keep going forward, eh?
Yeah. Well, obviously, that's what it's about, you know. And I mean, Tasmania is not big enough to have so many different people not liking it.
Yeah.
We need to bond together,
Yeah.
you know. And it's like the go-kart guys. Like, hey, all these young kids are coming through. Like, come out, have a drive. Look me up, you know. Like, don't be frightened to you know, look me up on Facebook and say, hey, can I have a drive of the car?
Yep.
Because if you don't get opportunity, you never know,
That's
you know.
it,
And that's the sad part about it. Like, I was lucky enough to leave this state, and if I didn't, I'd never ever get the opportunity to race speedway. And you know, because I did get it, I want to pass it on. You know,
and that's good. That's
Yeah.
excellent. I love that. That's absolutely excellent. Biggest hero growing up?
Max Dunstan and Clive.
Yeah.
I mean, I say Max, but I mean Clive was my friend.
Yep.
And I mean, I love that man.
Yep.
You know, I
Cool.
do.
I can't wait to get up there and have a yak with you. It's going to be good fun.
And actually, I've got to probably say a couple more. Like, when I came back, I mean, I was lucky enough to sort of, my dad helped the Davids up in Darwin. I mean, Peter McIver, I mean, like, I loved him. I mean, Stephen Arrigo, like, when I went to Darwin, he was probably one of the first teenage kids racing sprint cars.
Yep.
I think then it was Stephen. I think Jamie Moyle, Jamie Cobby. I think then it was Colin and Robbie Farr.
Yep.
I'm not 100% sure,
Yep.
but I was talking to Robbie not long ago and he sort of said, yeah, that's about right. And then Brooke, and then Gary.
Yep.
You know, like, that's when those teenage guys started coming out. And you're right, you know, because like when I sort of got involved, you didn't see anyone
You didn't
young.
see him.
No.
Young in the speedway.
No.
Often, you know.
I think Jamie Walsh, Johnny Walsh back in the
Yeah,
day, he was
yeah.
probably one of the young guns.
I think Jamie Moyle was pretty young too, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Wasn't he about 16 when he first jumped
Yes,
in?
something like that, yeah.
But there wasn't many.
No.
Very, very old man sport it was then. But
Yeah.
it's good to see the younger generation getting into it now because it'll keep our sport going.
Well,
You know what I mean?
one of the things about the younger guys in it, and obviously they've got nothing to lose.
No.
And the wanting for them to win is so much more powerful than someone who owns a car. You know?
And we've got good drivers down here. Good drivers.
Well-
Some good wheelers.
Well, put it this way, remember the other day we were talking about how many champions have come out of Tasmania?
I think we hold the more of any state in
Of
Australia.
course we do.
I'm pretty sure we do.
And I think most of that's in Speedway. And that's why, you know, I mean, not saying that's anything, but
I know that we have more Australian super sedan champions
Yes.
than any other state in Australia.
Australia.
I'm not sure on the other ones, but I think all up in total with all divisions put together, we're still
Yeah.
a fair way away
yeah,
from the other states, you know. So,
the red pass.
or in front, I should say.
Yeah, the name, like Bobby. I love Bobby and Luke and Ann. And, like, I mean, I've never, up until getting a speed car, I've met Bobby a couple of times in the pits and he's always taken his time out to come over and talk to me.
Yeah.
And I've always appreciated that. Leon Cleary is another guy that I respect for that. I don't think there's any other family in the world that can match the Red Path's credibility and history for what they have. I mean, I've done a bit of research myself. I mean, I'm not an expert, but that family name is phenomenal.
I just Tasmania,
Yeah.
and in Australia.
Yeah.
You know, not just in Tasmania. They've always been big.
Yeah.
And so, I don't think I've met a bad driver that's a Redpath.
No.
They all know how to wheel.
Wheel.
You know.
Oh, and Luke proved that running with Nick.
Oh, Luke.
He.
And if you're watching Luke and Bobby, I would love to sit down and have a yak. So, feel free to inbox us because I reckon it'd be a great little yak we could have.
Yeah.
It'd
Well,
be good fun.
Can I just say this? There's a lot of people out there, right, that should be doing this because if they don't, like, you're losing the history. And I think it's sad that some of these guys don't want to do it because what else? How are we going to retain the history of motorsport?
There is a few of them a bit camera shy though, but I'll get around them and I'll swindle them. Don't you watch?
Well, we'll just.
Don't you worry. They'll be in front of the camera.
We'll
before.
do something anyway.
Yeah, excellent. Biggest achievement in racing?
Speedway go-karts. I think it was 94. I have to have a look. 94. It was called the Darwin Nationals. I actually came back from Catherine that night, ran the kart, and I got a second. And my boss ticked me off actually. He clicked me at the line.
Yeah, right.
But no, that was probably the biggest achievement.
So what was work like on Monday?
Yeah.
Would have been interesting.
Yeah. No, Dean Gilbert, legendary guy, and very competitive too, and his boys racing up there, and it was good to catch up with him too.
Favourite track you've raced?
I'm going to say Carrick. Yeah.
I like Carrick.
Yeah, I love Carrick.
It's a driver's track.
It is. And what pissed me off too was the night of our title night, it was a very fast racing track.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting out there watching thinking, this is no good, Yeah.
I think Carrick's got their shit together again.
Yeah.
My word, they have.
Yeah.
They sort of drifted there for a bit. Not through not having good facilities, but through people just not wanting to go to the Speedway with COVID and shit, and even then, now the crowds are still not quite as big as what they were.
Yeah.
But do yourself a favour. Get back out there, and support our local motorsport, Speedway, whatever it is, burnouts. Just get out there and support it because the way the world's going at the moment with all these electric cars, we're not going to have it for much longer.
And that's sad.
And if I'm sorry, but I won't be a fan of an electric car on a Speedway.
No. Well,
I love the sound of a V8 or, a four-cylinder Fontana screaming its head off around the corner. There's no better sound. You take that out of motorsport, I think motorsport's dead.
Yeah.
I really do.
I do too. You've only got to watch the Formula, the Formula E's or whatever they are. I've watched Pikes Peak not long ago and watched the electric cars up there and like you said, you're missing it.
It's not the same. No. It's just not the same. It's like pushing a billy cart downhill. There's no sound.
Yeah.
What about the family, mate? You got a beautiful daughter. I actually know Jack.
Yes.
And
she's a legend.
She's always been around with the sport?
No. Obviously growing up, I dragged her to the Speedway.
Yeah.
As a little kid, she used to just bop along and, we're going to the Speedway. That was all cool. When I obviously brought the car last year, she came on board and, it blew me out because I didn't sort of think she'd really take it on. Mm-hmm. But she was there. I noticed as I was getting out of the cars, there she was, taking my helmet, hit that, take the gloves. There's a beautiful video of her that you caught of her grooving
tyres. That's the one that got me. When I turned around and I seen her there with the tyre groover.
And that was Bobby.
That's great to see.
Yeah. And Bobby, thanks Bobby Redpath, because she's going to do it all the time now, my friend.
Yeah, she's professional now.
Yeah. And, he taught her how to do that. Yeah. And, for me, to see my daughter there, and to see it on that video,
proud
moment. I'm the proudest dad in the world. She's a beautiful kid.
Yeah, no, I've met Jack. She's a good kid. Yeah. Got a lot going for her. Did you ever race on bitumen?
Yeah.
No, that doesn't sound real good, mate.
No, it wasn't, because I'm hopeless. I'm hopeless on the bitumen.
Yeah, right,
Yeah. And, I can't get my shit together.
Yeah.
I'm not smooth enough.
Yep.
And I raced a couple of karts for Clive up in Darwin, and I was lucky because I had Stephen Arrigo's dad, Charlie Arrigo, at the time, and he was pretty switched on with go-karts, as well as Clive.
Yep.
And I used to go and do some test runs for him, and mate, these kids were just whipping by me, and I just could not find that niche.
Yep. Yep. So, who's the crew? You got a crew helping you out at the moment?
This season, I've got Jack, my daughter, and I think her partner, Jacob. And obviously, yeah, it depends because you're going to be generous
Yeah,
enough
I'll try and help out when I can.
Yeah.
When we're not racing or I haven't got a lot of film going on, I'm going to come over and give you a hand as well. I love tinkering with them.
Yeah,
It's good fun.
Because it's good to have you there.
Yeah.
And you're actually good enough to actually help me with getting a go-kart too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we're going to give Jack's partner a bit of a run in that. And also too, like, you know, once again, I hope you don't mind, but your boy's probably a year off before he jumps in.
Yeah, about 2 years he is before he
Yeah.
can jump into a speedway one. He can go and race tarmac at the moment, but he sort of hasn't jumped in one yet. So I need to teach him what the brake pedal and accelerator pedal does first.
Yeah.
And we'll see how he goes from there. But in the meantime, the go-kart model might as well be used.
Yeah.
So let's get someone in it.
Yeah, and that's, you know, I mean, once again, that's what it's all about. I've got another friend, John. He's also connected with the bitumen carts down here.
Yep.
Jack and myself went down there not long ago, and we're going to have a run.
Yep.
I think between those guys and having a chat with them, we could probably get another one.
Yep.
Which, you know, we can try and introduce a few more people from that side to come out and have a run.
Yep.
You know, I mean, don't make it a full-time thing. Just come out and have a go.
Come and have a go.
Yeah, because if you don't have a go, how do you know?
You never know. We might get along the line. We might get heaps of people interested.
Let's hope.
We might be able to hold the track for that.
Yeah.
And then if you can do that, you're going to have heaps of people that can get in it in one day.
Yeah, that's
Instead
right.
of just one meeting of the night.
Yeah.
But time will tell in the future, won't it?
It will.
Have you ever done any mainland events since you've had this car?
No.
Planning on to?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, I don't know how this season's going to go, but I'd definitely like to get over and do the Beasley Cup, the South Australian title, and I think there's another one. But it's a 3-day event on the mainland. A couple of our guys are going over this year. So I'd definitely like to go over and do that, just to get amongst a few more cars. Yeah, not
cool.
Yeah,
yeah. Rub wheels with Nick.
Yes, yeah.
Look out, Nick. He's coming for you.
Yeah,
he wants that title.
I wouldn't mind his engine.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's a nice car. That's actually a Brazier car, isn't it?
No, that's a Brett Lacey car.
Lacey car. That's it. Yeah,
that's a Beretta. Yeah. Which I think too, like, because I think Brett, from memory, that's probably the only Australian chassis builder. And obviously, it's good to see Nick really campaigning that car and putting it up on the top ranks, you know, and it's good for Brett.
Oh shit, yeah. He builds a good car by the looks of it. And I've seen it drive and it goes hard. How would you like to be remembered in motorsport?
As a muppet? No. Just as someone who maybe just, I don't know, was just good enough to help someone else.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I'm at my age now, like, I'm past.
Yeah, we blend in pretty well with the silver, don't we?
We do, actually. I was just looking at that.
As the boys call me, tinsel. Hey, boys. Yeah. Salt and pepper, that's the one, yeah.
But no, it's just mainly really at this age, probably more as in someone that's helped the sport.
Yep. So, what do you class yourself as, a Tasmanian or a Northern Terrier?
Half and half.
Righto. So, how would you like? I'll rephrase that. What does it mean to be? To be a Tasmanian in Speedway world?
Yeah, good.
Good.
Yeah. And being obviously being a young Tasmanian going to Darwin, it was great. Yeah. You know, I got you get that bit of publicity. Yeah. You know, and it's hard. So being that age and getting that, trying to keep a grip of it too.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think of our modern day Speedway compared to 20 years ago?
It's at a different level. To watch the kids today, like, you know, to watch those guys last year, like the Lockies, the Jocks, running the high line at Darwin and bouncing off the wall, it's, you know, that's crazy.
You know what I liked? Jock raced really well over there the weekend. Adrian Redpath went over.
Yes.
Budget team.
Yeah.
Budget car. You know, Adrian's not getting any younger, you know, but he can still will, and he still proved that Tasmanians can match it with the best in the world, you know, which was great to see. You know, I mean, Jock's been doing it for a while now. Yes. And Sean Dobson did it for a while as well. But
another good name.
Another good name out of Tasmania. But to see another Redpath go over there and mix it with the best in Australia, and he doesn't do it all the time. No. You know, and it's just great to watch. I know they had bad luck on one night, but to finish second in an A main at Chariots is pretty good.
I'll tell you another guy who I was pretty impressed with, young Tate Frost.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about Tate. Yeah.
mate, like last year, I thought he was really coming on strong.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
And he's come on really quick.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got good blokes behind him too.
And that helps.
Same as Jock.
Yeah.
You know, Jock's got one of the best in the business.
Of course he
so,
has.
you know, he's never going to go wrong with him in there.
And a passionate dad.
That, very passionate, very passionate. Did motorsport ever, did it bring your family closer together, or do you think it stayed the same, or did you just drift a bit, or?
Well, yeah, see, my mum and dad weren't really into it.
Yep.
I mean, my dad pit crewed for Ray David up in Darwin.
Yep.
And, yeah, so, yeah, like, yeah, it's hard to say, you know what I mean? Because, I mean, yeah, like, I can remember, like, when I had the race car, I didn't have a car to tow it. And, you know, a man sort of said to me, you know, you need to get your priorities right, boy, and get a car to tow your race car,
Yep.
you know. So, you know, they're a valuable lesson learned in life. But, yeah, look, you know, my mum and dad have always been there,
Yep.
you know what I mean? So, yeah.
Yep. If you had unlimited money, you don't have to be speedway. Actually, no, it's not speedway. We won't include speedway in this question. If you had unlimited money, what would you be doing, and what would you be racing?
If I had unlimited money, I wouldn't be racing. I'd be doing what Keith Coons does,
Yep.
or Chad Boat.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is to fill everyone in.
Yeah. Well, that's basically what would be Keith, and no one knows Keith Coons and Chad Boat. They are guys who basically run a team of midgets,
Yep.
and it's like a development team. They put young guys through it, and you know they come up through the ranks.
Yep.
That's what I'd love to do.
And speaking of that, we come to the last bit of the thing, which has been a big subject with us the last few weeks, is we want to get a team together, don't we? Not just with Speedway, but all like forms of motorsport in Tasmania to try and, for mental health, for people that are having issues out there, we'd like to invite them to come and have days with our cars so they can have a drive in them. And I don't know, I've never seen anyone get out of a race car that hasn't got a smile on their face, unless even if they've crashed.
Yeah.
They've still got a smile on their face when they get out.
Yeah.
So which way are we heading with that, Paul?
Well, you know, once again, I'm not getting any younger, so, and I would rather, you know, give people the opportunity, you know, to jump in my car, come and have a go, you know, and, you know, for me, I've suffered with mental health. Like, we've had a conversation, and we've both touched on what we both have gone and experienced ourselves.
Oh, we've both been down that road. Yeah, definitely.
And, you know, like, it was a really cool time when I first got that opportunity, you know, because, like, we both resonated on so much. And, you know, it's hard to do that unless you've experienced it yourself. And, I mean, I just think there's not enough here. And,
no, there's not.
You know, there's so many different groups there, but I just don't think that they're doing enough.
We need a lot more, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
proactive. I think we've got to be.
Motorsport's a good way to bring people into it.
And if it's not driving, it's being a part of it, or get into the graphics design of it, or you know, get into something else.
It's not just driving them, is it?
No.
There's so much to do with putting a race car together.
Yes.
Whether it be a speedway, burnout car, circuit car, go kart, it doesn't matter. You've got so much to do. It's not just as simple as just driving it.
No.
So a lot of people put a smile on their face from driving it. Mate, I put a smile on my face just for working on it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't need to drive it, but some people get like that, and then other people like doing sign writing and stuff like that, you know. So there's a lot of things that we can have for people to do, and if there's any teams out there that would like to get involved in this and know a bit more about it, please inbox me or Paul.
Yep.
We want to get as many teams as we can. Like we don't want to be binning cars, do we?
No.
We don't. Like, these things aren't cheap.
No.
And burnout cars aren't cheap. So you don't want people to go out there and bin them, but we want people to go out there and
appreciate
be
that.
a passenger in a burnout car. I mean, I know myself through personal experience. There's no better feeling than being on a burnout pad with 1,000 horsepower supercharger screaming in your ear hole. There's just, I don't even want to drive it. I just want to be a passenger. I think it's better being a passenger.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a mate of mine would say different.
Yeah.
But, you know.
I reckon I know that, mate.
There's no better feeling.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what we want to do for people, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's just get them to be a part of something. And, you know, if they don't know what they want to be a part of, just come and get involved. And, you know, like, if it's not their niche,
Mm-hmm.
well, then still talk to us, because there might be another avenue that we can talk and say, hey, well, what is your niche? You know,
And that's exactly right.
and I mean, as you know, like when you are going down that path, you just want someone to listen, and you always usually find it's the most unexpected person that will say something or will listen that will make you change. You know,
It's like with Aaron Wilton, he's got 0 Alpha Motorsport.
Yes.
He's a veteran, and he has a lot of veterans come into his cars on practice days, and they drive, and they're only doing like 10 k's an hour in the track, picking a little sideways, but they all get out and smile on their face. You know,
well, it's like Tony. You know, like Tony selling drives in the sprint car. I think there was an elderly woman out there. I can't remember how old she was, but she was out there putting around. She enjoyed it. You know, I mean, I've seen guys that were going to jump in it, put a leg in, and started freaking out.
And that's another thing too. If you want a good go in a sprint car, and you don't mind paying, and it's well worth every cent. I think it's about $800 to get in Tony's sprint car for 12 laps. It is worth every penny. Do yourself a favour. Look up Tony Glasner and Klasner, sorry, or nearly always get his last name wrong. Sorry, Tony.
Got mine,
Shoot me for that. But anyway, look him up. And do
great
yourself
guy.
a favour and get in the car because it's good fun.
Yeah.
And it'll really open your eyes.
Oh, it does, you know. And I mean, Tony's a legend. And if you look at what that man has done, you know, I mean, they have definitely proved that they can put a good package together. Jamie Britnell is just a sensational wheeler anyway. And, you know, I mean, I watched them too last year. You know, I watched Tony last year up there in Darwin. And, you know, like for a young guy like himself, to go up there and compete as well as he did, I was pretty impressed.
Well, he had 3 sprint cars finish the Tasmanian title last year, I think it was.
Yeah.
I think that's the only time we've ever seen 3 cars out of a team. All, you know, go as well as what they did, because Jamie won it.
Yes.
Tony and Ashley were quite close. Ashley's a gun driver.
Yes, and well, once again, Ash came out and proved that he can mix it with the best.
And Tony's getting there very quickly. It won't be long and he'll be up there with them too. I don't know. But,
once again, he's a team owner, so he's probably got that little bit of reservedness, you know.
But he is definitely getting better.
Oh, he's coming on song. Yeah,
he's great. And say good day to you too, Tony. Hope you're doing well. So, Paul, we'll finish it there today. Thanks very much for joining me.
No, thank you, Jamie.
Great fun. We'll have to catch up again.
Yeah, we will.
And we'll talk more about this mental health stuff.
Yes.
And we'll probably set up a page on Facebook. Once we decide what we're going to call the team and or whatever else we're going to call everything, we'll get all that set up, and then I'll put a link up on my page. You'll put a link up on your page. And feel free to contact us, because we really want to make this work. And mate, I don't care if you've got a scooter or a go-kart or a speed car, or it doesn't matter. Get in contact with us, because we'd love to have you come on board and help us out a bit, and we'll help you out as well.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Thanks, Paul.
No, thank you very much, Jamie. A pleasure.
And thanks, everyone. And don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button down the bottom of the screen. And we'll see you. Let's try again. We'll see you next shed session. Cheers, everyone.
Thanks, guys.